Condition, condition, condition. Hi, I'm Gary Levisi, and we're going to talk about, guess what? Condition of vintage and new paperbacks. We're not going to talk about pulps. We're not going to talk about hardcover books or magazines. Paperbacks. And what I want to do is I have a few dogs here that I'm going to show you. They're barking even as we are looking. Terrible condition, and I'm going to show you some of the condition flaws that are the challenges for vintage paperback collectors. If you're a book collector, you want to collect the book, of course, in the best condition possible, which, depending on your budget, depending on your luck at finding good books, nice condition copies, and depending on books being the rarities if you're looking for, it's going to be a challenge sometimes, and sometimes you don't see them. Sometimes you'll see, I've passed up a book for $5 that was a piece of falling apart. I've never seen it again in like 20 years. So sometimes, you've got to take the good with the bad. Certain books, certain publishers don't hold up that well. Certain books are scarce. If you collect British paperbacks, Canadian, Australian books, a lot of times what a collector will accept is a lower grade than what somebody would collect American paperbacks. And the reason is because the foreign stuff is a lot more scarce. The condition is a lot more rough usually. To finding those books in really, really beautiful condition is very difficult. American books, because of the large population here in America, they published, the major publishers published generally a lot of books. Avon Books pretty much started out when they published 100,000 copies was their usual print run for their books. Pocket Books also published a lot, large numbers. So those books are available generally, and you can find, if you look hard enough, at nice condition copies. And again, the condition is the thing. And how do you tell the condition? What are the flaws that you're going to encounter? Well, you're going to encounter many, and I have a list here of a ton of them. What I'm going to do, I guess, is I'm going to read off the list, just the things.
Well, give us something to look at while you're reading.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you something really beautiful to look at. This is Australian Star Book Digest from the 1950s. If I Lived to Dine by Hilary Wagg. Star Book. What a beauty. Look at that. This has so many things wrong with it. It's just amazing. It's a filler. It's not even a fair copy. It's a filler. Wear along the edges, writing, staining, tears, creasing, rubbing, all kinds of things. Creases all over. And then when you turn over on the back, voila. This is because what happens is, and I've noticed this with many collectors and people, when you put paperback books, especially if you put them tightly into a shelf, and you don't have them in plastic bags, and you're in a humid area, what's going to happen? The humidity, even over a course of years, will eventually leach itself into the area between the covers of the books. And what happens? The two covers stick together. When you take them apart, disaster. So this is because of basically humidity. Another one here, another Australian book, has probably almost everything.
You gonna read your list?
Yeah, everything wrong with it. It's got sticker pulls. It's got price stickers. So this is they put two stickers on, and then they put two prices because it's always twice two heads are better than one. All kinds of creases. Spine is just ripped and spine roll, spine slant. The pages are slanted. There's tape. So just to get an idea of some of these. These are Australian books, and they're like pretty scarce. So people that do collect these would I would sell them cheap. They would be very cheaply, inexpensive. If they were in really beautiful condition, they'd be very nice. But that's the thing. So these are kind of fillers. But the thing is, what are you looking for do you encounter when you have problems with the condition of books? Well, the cover registration can be off. Sometimes it's the colors on the cover or the printing on the cover are not aligned. You can have spine roll, which the book is just rolled back. You can have spine slant, where it's not as bad as a spine roll, but it's still slanted. So you can see that, like this one here. This is like spine. The spine is slanted. If it was rolled, that would be even more serious. There's all kinds of. You can have tape. You can have dog-eared pages, tears, marker price on the cover, which we saw.
What's a dog-eared page?
Dog-eared is where the person turns the page over to mark their
save a
place.
spot.
Yeah, to mark their place where they were reading. There's creasing, chipping, chips all along the edge. Chips. Staining. The staining's right here. Stickers of all kinds are on books. Foxing and tanning. The paper from age gets spots sometimes, and light is like a tan spotting in different places, or tanning. The whole page will be dark, and these are because of age, and it's not because of mold. Mold is another thing. So here's like two books. Here's two. A Bain and a Tor book, to Robert E. Howard, a Robert E. Howard Solomon Kane book, and a Conan the Triumphant by Robert Jordan. And these are both fairly recent books. You say they're really pretty nice condition. The pages, see that? They're 20 years old, but they're still nice. But you see, you open up the page, the cover here on the Bain edition, and it's a pretty nice condition copy. You would say that this is a VG plus, maybe a near fine. On this one, you have age on the inside front cover and the inside back cover, because the paper that they used on these books was very cheap. So the pages are nice, the book is nice, but it just has this very aged, dark inside.
So you'd say that's tanned.
So it's a little more than tanned. It's getting brown, but that's not usually a problem. A book like this could still be. You could say it's a VG plus. The problem is some of the books more tan than this. Some of them get very tan and get very brown, and then what happens if you open up the cover? The cover can just split right off. So you have to be careful of that. I'm just going to go through a few more things. Harlequin books. One annoying thing is rubbing on the cover. You can see how the cover has been rubbed. Harlequin books are notorious for cover rubbing, as are all of the books by Ade, Fabian's, Tropic, Vega, and the other books that they published, this Leeds publisher, but Harlequin especially. And I think it's just a printing process. I think it was a 3-color printing process, not 4-color, so that the books they get rubbed very easily, and then the cover and the back cover get like this. So you see this rubbing, and you see here this is rubbing also, where the lettering is kind of blurry. And that's from rubbing also. So this is a pretty nice Harlequin book. It's a good book, but it's rubbed quite a bit. See a nice book like Nightmare Street by Hal Elson, Juvenile Delinquent. It's a Belmont book, but you wouldn't know it because Belmont has been chipped off. So you have chipping, tears. This is torn. So wear spots. People write in books.
Oh.
all kinds of things written in books. So really, it's not a bad copy, but there's underlining. Dog-eared is where they turn the page where they're reading, turn it sideways. So you have all of that. The Sheltering Night, Steve Fisher's, is a gold medal book. Very good collectible hard-boiled crime novel if it was in really nice shape. As it is, it's just a filler. But this is just so much no return. It's got a bookstore stamp in, price stamp in. It's got, this is foxing, age spots. Nice gold medal. If this was in really nice condition, it'd be a very good book. It's from 1952, paperback original. It's not bad inside, but you can see the age, and the page edges aren't all that, all that sharply even. This is a book that maybe was one time re-glued or something was done to it to fix it. So, and there's things that you can do to fix books, and probably Lucille, my wife, is going to do a video on that sometime. She's done one in the past, but she's going to do an update. But there's a lot of these problems. Some of them you can make go away, and you can fix the books and make them much better. Right now, we're just going to talk about the problems that you have when you buy these books. Avon books, hole punches. A lot of times the hole punches were for remainder marks. On Sleeves books, they have the saw cut for remainder marks. Spine is faded. Is also spine slanted. See, the pages are uneven here. There's you can see, like right here, this spot. So this might have been glued, or maybe it was just, wasn't bound properly. Here's a nice Hank Jansen, Desert Fury. Somebody says, read this one second. I don't know which one you got to read first, but he wrote it right on the cover. And then you got a split, like the spine split on the inside of the book. And probably in the back it's weak. The binding is weak. Again, you have spine slant. You have age to the, this is supposed to be white, believe it or not. And so it's really aged.
It's a beautiful cover.
It's a beautiful cover, and he did some covers for these. Here's Dames, Danger, and Death, edited by Leo Margulies. Pyramid book, crime, hard-boiled crime, private eye. You have here a little bit of cover underlap. In other words, the cover is under the page edges. Sometimes you see a lot of Avon books, the cover underlap can be as much as like that on the cover, or maybe more. Because the spine is, everything you could think of going wrong with the spine is big chips, tears, everything, except it's not faded. But you can barely read the title. It's chipped and worn all over. And you see, like, the pages, again, the pages are not even. So this was maybe re-glued, or maybe, and it has writing in it. But good hard-boiled stories. This is a kind of maybe a reading copy or a filler copy until you find something better. And Hired Guns, Max Brand. This isn't a bad-looking copy. It's not terrible. It's aged. You can see the pages have a tan to them. And this is what thing is, that the average paperback now is vintage paperback is anywhere from 60 to 40, 50, 60 years old. So you're going to have paper that ages, and that's a realistic look at condition. So this would be like an average copy. average aged copy. It's got wear at the edges, shelf wear uh, or edge wear, light spine wear, a little bit chips. See, these are the chips on the spine here. But overall, not a terrible copy. It's got a little bit of a reading crease on the back, and sometimes you have, usually on the front, here's the reading crease on the front where the cover has been opened, so you get a reading crease along here. It's not so bad. Sometimes it can be quite severe. So those are some of the problems. Splitting at the spine, inside spine split, glue rot. A lot of books, early Ballantine books, for some reason, have they used a glue that was very cheap, and it just rotted. It just rotted away, and as it ages, the books just kind of fall apart. A lot of times, if you have a spine roll or a spine slant, and you try to bend it back, because people always do try to bend it back, you'll hear, and that's the glue separating. So you have to be very careful with that. You shouldn't really do that. But people do that. I said do. The glue rot on the Ballantines. Trying to think of some of the other publishers that have that. Avon sometimes have it. It's sometimes you can just open up a brand new book and it can just like crack, and the pages can come loose. A lot of times, what happens is a lot of these books, if they're you're buying used books in a bookstore from a dealer or something, and you don't know who the previous owner was. They may have had them in a house where there was cigarette smoking, and that's another problem, because the smell of cigarettes on the books is something that stays with them. But also the heat in the house, if it's the humidity, if it's near a stove or not a stove, but
Furnace? Radiator?
The radiator or something, and say your bookcase is near the radiator and your bookcase has been sitting there for 10 years, the books are going to be dried out. The paper is going to be dry. It's going to be tan or brown, maybe brittle. The glue in the book is going to be dry, and it's going to be brittle, and when you open it up, it's going to crack, and you may even the cover might just come right off sometimes. So you have to be careful of that. Same thing as you do with like I said before about the humidity, where if you're packing books in a bookcase and they're not near the heat, but you're in an environment where there's a lot of humidity most of the year. That's not a problem for a year or two or something like that. But when you have books, sometimes you put them in a bookcase and they may be sitting there for 5 or 10 years. And then you go and get them and you pull them apart because the covers kind of stick together from that humidity. So there's a lot to it. People like to drink beer and soda, and they put the bottle on the top of the book, and there's a lot of books you see with bottle rings on them. Store stamps and book plates and stickers, all kinds. Soiling, just books that just have dirty or even dusty. There's so many things that can be problems.
I don't know about you, but I find oftentimes when there's a sticker on the cover of a book, the person who put that sticker on that book is putting it over another flaw. Like oftentimes, right, you don't want to pull up a sticker because it might pull the cover. But I've, removed things with Goo Gone and Undo and carefully removed the sticker. And when I see, as soon as I put the Goo Gone on it,
there's another sticker
there's a hole
or there's a hole
the
underneath
sticker where the book has already been, and they try to hide the flaw by putting a sticker on it.
You have to watch that. Also, you have to be very careful if you have stickers on. Get a book and it's got a sticker on it. The collector cannot resist picking that sticker off because, again, you're a collector. You want you want to have the best book possible, and you want to get rid of that sticker.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be very, very careful. Some stickers just come right off, and there's no problem at all. Others, forget about
Well,
it.
where is it that we get the books where there's two stickers? Is it Paramus? Well, they put the Barnes and Noble sticker on the front cover, and then they put that color-coded dot
Yeah.
on the spine, and
That can't
the
come
Barnes
off.
and
That
Noble
doesn't
one
come
comes right off, but
Right.
color-coded sticker.
Yeah.
it doesn't come
Also,
off.
some of these books, like a lot of the books, have glossy covers, or originally had glossy covers. So if there's a sticker on a glossy cover, you can peel it off because it's carefully, but it will kind of peel off most of the time. On the other hand, when you have a cover like this that has no gloss, or better yet, like this here, this Hank Jansen, this has no gloss whatsoever. Somebody puts a sticker on this, it's just going to peel right off the cover. So that's not good.
And there's some books you have, the covers don't even feel like they're really cardstock. They feel like it's just
Yeah, well, there's
paperweight,
other things. I mean,
foreign ones.
the British Boardman books, which are gorgeous, gorgeous books. They're all crime, and they have wonderful Dennis McLaughlin cover art, hard-boiled crime cover art. But the thing is, the publisher, Boardman, published the paperbacks with paper covers. So they're flimsy paper. And having they're beautiful when they're in really nice condition. But, they very easily can be damaged and worn and just worn down over the years. These are books from the 1950s, so they're already 70 years old in many cases. So you're talking about books that have been around a lot, books that have been gone from collector to reader. So they've picked up a lot of damage and a lot of wear. But the thing is that what you want to do, like they say in real estate is location, location, location. Book collecting is condition, condition, condition. As a collector, well, I can just say what I do as a collector, and then it's up to you to do what you think best. I always look for books in the best condition. The decision is whether to buy or not is depending on the price and the condition, but also the scarcity of the book. If it's an American book, a lot of times I'll say to myself, if the price is too high or the condition is a little lower, I say maybe I'll wait because I can get a better condition copy, or maybe I can get at a better price. If it's a Canadian, British, or Australian book, that's a different story because some of those you just don't see at all, and they're pretty scarce, and so you have to kind of take what you take what you can as far as in the condition.
Did you always do that, or did you evolve doing that?
No, I always did that because I knew the books are much more scarce, and you probably won't see it again on certain things. Depending, see, I've been collecting a long time, so I know what if there's a book I haven't seen, even an American book, then I go, and that's something that's very interesting to me when it's something that I have not seen. I mean, I've been collecting for 275 years, and but the thing about this hobby is there's always something that you've never seen before.
Well,
and if you don't get it, a lot of times what happens is people say, it's too much money, or it's not that the condition I like. I'll wait until I get a better copy. That's fine, but you might not see another copy, and you might not see another copy for 20 or 30 years. On the other hand, as Phil Harbottle says, and Phil's got a great YouTube channel that you should look at for his books, and also Jules Burt and Michael Vaughn. These are the guys that have great YouTube channels
that you watch.
That I watch.
There's a million. There's so many.
Yeah, there's a million, but these three guys are guys that I watch and I enjoy, and they always have interesting, knowledgeable presentations and stuff.
Getting back to
books.
conditions, though, what I wanted to say to you is that you remember Dan Roberts, right?
Yeah.
Dan bought everything
Dan was a completist
He
collector, and there were
no, but aside from that, he bought duplicate copies of books, regardless of condition, and
yeah,
by doing that, he
he would,
found amazing variants
yeah,
in paperbacks that otherwise would not know that existed.
right.
So,
He did a lot of the initial research in the 70s and 80s for variants and other, you know, different printings with different covers and different, you know, that
well, but my point is, you have to have like a caveat to say it depends on what you want to do, right? If you want to have a mint collection of books, then yeah, you're going to go by
right,
condition. If you want to find out information, if you're curious about books, if you are interested in finding variants,
yeah,
then anytime you get a good price on a book, if you pick it up and you check it with one, you might find something interesting. That's
right,
all I'm saying.
right.
This
And there
depends
are a
on
lot
what
of
you're.
variants out there. I mean, I think I recently found a couple over the last month or so.
Mm-hmm.
We found a couple of variants
Mm-hmm.
that we didn't know existed. Nobody knew about.
But do you
Um,
think there's a difference between a collector and a reseller as far as condition goes, or it's
okay,
the same
well,
for
so that's a
everybody?
different thing now. So like, I sell books on eBay. I'm a bookseller, but I'm a publisher. I sell my own books that I have published of other people, and of my own books that people have published of my work, and I put those on eBay, and I sell all that kind of stuff as well as vintage paperbacks. Uh, what a lot of collectors do is, and I do a lot of the same things that they do. You collect, you buy a group of books, and then you run them through your collection to upgrade, and then you sell the lower condition copy. Uh, but So that's what collectors do. Dealers, you know, when you're wearing the dealer hat, the selling hat, you know, you're looking to buy books at the best price possible to turn them around. A lot of times you're paying uh, quite not that much money for books and for collections. But the thing is, you may be laying out hundreds or thousands of dollars for books, and you may have hundreds of thousands of books that you have bought. And then now what do you do with them? If these are books that you bought for resale as a bookseller, that's fine, but now you've got to sell them. So it takes, you know, may take years before you sell them. You may hold on to books for 10 or 20 years before they're ever sold. So you have to think of all of these things judiciously. You have to think about kind of what you want to do, how you want to approach your collecting. Um, I would say that I would collect what I like. That's the most important thing too. Um, the genre or author or artist or whatever it is that you like best. That's what you should collect. But you should keep your eyes open and your mind open for other things, different things, because there's so much out there that you'll be surprised that you may be collecting, let's say, westerns, and then in 5 or 10 years you say, "Oh, I like westerns, but I'm going to read, you know, science fiction or crime books," and so and then you get into that's a whole nother genre and a whole nother world with famous authors and characters and things. So it's can be very, very stimulating, very exciting, very fun. When you see new cover artists that you didn't know before, you say like, "Oh, who did this cover? Who did that cover? It's a nice cover." Then you say like, "Oh, you know, now I noticed it. I really noticed it. I know it's by that guy, and that's the guy that I like, or that woman who I like," you know. And so there's a lot of things in this hobby that make it pretty fascinating. The information, the collectors are fond of making endless lists of books, especially in the old days before there were any price guides or there were any information. There was the original collectors from the 60s and 70s um, put out little magazines. They put out lists of books, and it was just, you know, kind of eye-opening, and it was like a whole world. It was like you were like a space traveler coming to a new world and like experiencing a new planet, because it's like all of these books that you never knew existed. And I'm not even talking about American books. There's a lot of American stuff that's off the beaten track and generally unknown, and digests and things like that. But also, again, Canadian and British and Australian, which is all English language paperbacks. And then there's foreign paperbacks too, French, German, Spanish, incredible stuff. So there's so much. It's like, you go into another world and experience that world, and it's very exciting and fun.
I'm going to try to reel you back into this world.
Okay,
Going
thank
back
you.
to those catalogs, really the only basis that you had to understand the condition of the book was by the grading system that they used,
Right.
and that told you pretty much whether a book had acceptable or unacceptable
Right.
damages and flaws.
Yeah, in the old days, the booksellers used to write up catalogs, mimeograph them or print them, and they'd have to list a whole bunch of all the flaws and everything about that particular book. And to a certain extent, that has carried over on ABE books today, where people list books with a lot of information about the book, describing everything that's little thing that's wrong with it. Because people get a book and they were, in those days, they were buying the book unseen. So they get a book and they go, hey, it had a spine roll, but I didn't know it had a spine roll, like, rolling all over the place. So there was different descriptions. Descriptions were important. Today, people put books up on eBay. You get 12 photos, and I think you told me now they're doing 24.
24, yeah.
So you could do 12, let's say, photos of one book from every direction, from, take an x-ray of it and everything else and put it up. And the person, you don't have to say anything about it. It's a paperback book, whatever. But, it's good to put a little description. But the whole idea is that the people can see it. They can see everything about it. They can what it is, if they want it, and they can judge very well by the pictures. And that's like going to a book show, where you'd go over to a person's table. They'd have the books out on the table for sale, and you look at it, you pick it up, and you say, "Oh, this is interesting. What's the price? What does it look like? Let me see the front and the back and the inside." Look at it, and then you decide whether you're going to buy it. It's the same kind of thing. And that's good. The more information, the better. The better that you can see the book, tell what the condition is. Is better. Also, you make deals. If you see a book and it's a nice condition, but maybe the price is too high, make a deal. See if they'll give you a better price. If you see a book with that's a good deal, but the condition is not so good, is that a book you're going to be happy with? Are you going to want to upgrade that book or get another copy? So maybe you might. And is it a common book that you can get? Maybe you want to wait and get that, because then some people buy multiple copies. They'll have a mint book for the collection, and then they'll have a reader. Just another copy, same copy, but in just a VG copy or a good condition copy, and they'll have that for a reader. Other people will buy it for a filler. There's people that have collections. I know a fellow who has a small collection of a few hundred paperbacks, but his vintage paperbacks are pristine. They look like they're 70-year-old books. They look like they were made yesterday, bound and printed yesterday. So perfect, so perfect. That's what he collects, the perfect vintage paperbacks. Other people collect, they want to have all the science fiction books. They not so concerned with the condition of the book. They want to have that copy of the book, and that's important. Like Dan Roberts was a person like that, who wanted to have, every copy of certain runs of books that he collected. Pocketbooks. He wanted to have every pocketbook. Not only pocketbooks, but every printing of every pocketbook, because there's variations in the printing. And he did articles on this for my magazine, Paperback Parade, and for other magazines. He did research, and he was an archaeologist by trade. So he was a person who was very knowledgeable and scientific method, and library sciences, understanding everything about books and writing about them. So I hope this little look at condition of paperbacks has been helpful. There's a million other things I could probably say. It's a big subject. All of those flaws that I showed you and we mentioned, some of them can be corrected. And Lucille at one point is going to do a video, and she's going to show how you can fix some of these problems with books. Not bring them back to make them mint or fine or whatever, but make them more presentable, make them more so that just better looking, and then fix them a little bit.
It's a book you want to keep rather than upgrade.
Right, it's a book you want to keep rather than upgrade, or a book that you just don't want to, that's you're going to destroy or lose or something. Maybe it will change a book that's a filler to a book that you'll say, okay, I'll keep that in my collection because it's okay. I usually do not want to collect anything under a solid VG, and that's for foreign stuff. American stuff I really want like VG plus or better. But again, it depends. There's rare American books where sometimes if you get any copy is good. Copies with the first 10 pocketbooks, first printings, you want any copy in any condition. Dust jacket paperbacks, if it has a dust jacket on it, or most of the dust jacket on it, you may want to buy that too. Keep that because those are very scarce. There's other books that are the same thing. So it's a turkey shoot out there, out in the wild world of books. It's always interesting things to know and learn and find out. And I hope you enjoy looking. And if you did, give us a thumbs up and a like, and we'll see you next time.